Hello there, Ian here, and it really is wonderful to be able to be with you today. I'm here in our converted home office, and you may hear, the school's closed of course, so you may hear our children in the somewhere around the house, so I apologise for any background noise that you may pick up. But it is, and I'm sure everyone starts these conversations the same way. These really are unusual and unprecedented times that we're living through in our history. When I first came to this area, many of you will remember the Asian financial crisis. I saw the transition in Hong Kong in '97, then came to Malaysia, and we saw the Asian financial crisis that we lived through when currencies became very unstable, and we had to take certain measures to stabilise the economies. Then we lived through the dot-com boom and bust, the sort of the bubble where we really had to validate our business models in light of the expanding internet, how behaviour would change, and some models clearly were not viable, so we had to make corrections for that. Then, of course, we lived through the world economic crisis between 2007, 8, 9, where we really had to take some dramatic measures, and it hurt a lot of businesses. But today, these conditions are really unprecedented. I can't think of a time in our history where, in sort of living memory, where we've had to face these types of challenges. So it is wonderful to be with you. And so what are we talking about today? I had a call on, was it Monday night, Tuesday morning, with some members of our Scaling Up community, and Verne and John. They put together a little document called the 5 C's of crisis. Now, before we get into the ideas that I'm going to share behind these, there is a wealth of information around online and elsewhere on good practices for your business, good health and safety practices. Use whatever you can to keep yourself protected and to guard the health of your business. The only thing that I would say is, with health and safety, make sure that you're verifying the source of information, just to make sure that you don't put yourself at further risk instead of keeping yourself safe. So there's great information around. Use whatever works for you and stay safe. So here are 5 C's, 5 practical ways of keeping yourself safe and helping the community, and hopefully steering a way through these times. Are they the only things that you can do? No, of course not. But we think that they're a good foundation for the future, and I hope they make sense. So let's get into it. Okay, the 5 C's of crisis. Now, by way of an introduction, be careful. Panic is contagious. Yeah, panic is contagious. It has a way of, when one person panics, it has a way of rapidly spreading to a community, a town, a country, even beyond the country's borders. So be careful. Panic is contagious, and we've seen some of that going on in our supermarkets of late. But don't forget, leadership is contagious too. Leadership is contagious. As leadership teams, we are the shock absorbers between our company and the outside world. Now, of course, our team members have access to the same information often that we do, but it's our jobs as leaders of the organisation to interpret that and act as that buffer between the outside world and what's happening internally. They're looking more than ever for good leadership and good stewardship of our companies and their resources. So, if we can demonstrate good leadership principles, good stewardship, interpreting what's happening outside, making good judgments with the help of our team members, that's contagious too, and it can percolate right the way through the company. So don't forget, although panic is contagious, leadership is too. And do whatever you can to reach out. Reaching out thanks to technology, is easier now than ever before, and we can do probably more than we think we can if we just use a bit of imagination. Okay, so with those two sort of principles in mind, let's get into the 5 C's. Okay, number 1, and this really is number 1. Yeah, if you can only do this out of the 5, do this, and that is communicate frequently. Now, I'm a big fan of daily huddles in companies, but really, if the leader or the leadership team can send out a daily message, that's worth a lot. If something is broken in the news, what does that mean for us? What do we focus on? How are we keeping the main thing, even in these difficult times? So it's reassuring to hear from your leaders, to know that the leadership team is in touch and we are continuing to focus on the most important things. Now remember, responses to crises are normally measured in months. Recoveries to serious crises is measured in years. So the more that we can keep our teams focused and safe and concentrating on the most important things in our business, when that recovery does come, the companies that do best are always the most prepared and the ones that have taken the most action and prepared themselves for the recovery when it does come. And if you're going to have to share some bad news, put that first. Don't sugarcoat it. Put that up front, and then put in what actions that you think are necessary, and then begin to brainstorm solutions. But put that up front. Put it first, so everybody knows that you're in touch and you've got your finger on the pulse or the eye on the ball, and you're communicating that with the team. So put the bad stuff up front. Number 2 of the 5 C's. Community. Yeah. Give where you can. There is likely to be someone in your neighbourhood who may be struggling to get the groceries, or maybe struggling to get out and about. Do something. Give where you can. It's amazing once you start to think about what you could do for your community, how many ideas actually begin to surface. So if there's someone in need, if there is a customer of yours who may be struggling to pay, maybe forego this little bit of payment. If people are struggling, then relax those payment mechanisms. I know, and we're going to talk about money a bit later on, but take this opportunity to maybe relax those controls a little bit and give people a little bit of breathing space. They're also part of your community. And it's amazing how much when you give without the balance of expecting a return, it's amazing how much, when you really start and give, how much eventually comes round and benefits you in the long run. I was talking to a company that we're going to be working with, and they're setting up a planning session, and one of the venues said, if you book now for about the end of March, beginning of April, but you have to cancel that, then there's no refund. That's our policy. You pay in front. And I thought that's kind of a bit short-sighted, and I may well think twice about booking that venue before, or booking that venue in the future, because it's clear when you've got overseas participants, you want to secure secure somewhere, but policies change, things can change overnight, and those arrangements may have to be foregone. And I think it's up to us business leaders to take that into account. Clean up and catch up. Now, it's amazing businesses, I've heard this, businesses and our lives, you can represent them like as hallway closets or hallway cupboards. A business that's been in business for a few years, it's amazing how many processes and documents and policies can grow and expand over time, and many of them then become redundant, but nobody bothers to update them or get rid of them altogether. A great example from our community was Gene Brown, who runs the company called Citybin. They collect trash in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, and he coined a quarterly theme called Bin It, and he told everybody to examine their workplaces and the processes that they were working on or documents that they were updating, and really question whether they were needed. Look at the workspace. Is there books or documents or paper that's taking up time and you're having to walk around them in the office? Is there a process that really was a good idea before, but the business has changed now? Are there documents that you're not sure who reads them anymore? And so it's time to do a bit of spring cleaning. There are many projects on the to-do list. If only we had time, that project would be a good idea. Well, now you may have the time, and it's time to look at those projects that you can now turn the focus to and implement and improve the business. So clean up and catch up is number 3. Number 4, cash. Well, I talked about cash a few minutes ago, and it's really important to be a good steward of cash. I remember, I said before, some of your customers are going to be impacted. Now, one thing that I read in, I think it was this morning, was that mortgage companies are now relaxing their policies on people because they know that people are going to be struggling to pay their mortgage repayment. So there's companies that are beginning to relax those policies just a little bit. And that goes for your customers too. Be a good steward of cash. And I mentioned Bin It and Gene Brown's company a few minutes ago. When they went to work and looked at what was soaking up time, energy, and money, they collectively streamlined the business and found 40,000 euros per month in savings. 40,000 euros per month in savings. And when you can find that amount of savings, it goes right to the bottom line. It doesn't go through, if you sold 30 or 40,000 more in revenue, that's not all profit. It has to go through your profit machinery before it becomes bottom line money. But cost savings go right to the bottom line. But overall, be a good steward. Look at what you're paying for certain suppliers. One of our community said they were paying for 2 CRM solutions. It had just, nobody knew that one subscription was actually redundant and you could merge them together. So look at what you're paying for and whether you can make some savings there. So communicate on a daily basis. Look at the community. Clean up and catch up. Cash, right? Keep the eyes on the ball, because don't forget, those that can survive longest have the most cash. Don't look to make a killing, but be a good steward. Okay, so lastly, calm. Now, you may be saying that's easy for you to say, but we can't make good judgments when we're in a panicked and pressurized state. Our good judgment can often go out the window when we are panicked and we're trying to juggle too many things at once. Take a few moments every day to take a few deep breaths. Now, I'm not a yoga instructor, but if we can do that and just step back for just a couple of minutes, take a few deep, calming breaths, and then look at the situation afresh, it's amazing what we can see that we could not see before. Now we're in a slightly calmed down state. And if you're in a meeting when things are getting out of control, and mind you, those meetings are likely to be online these days, at least for the next few weeks, just say, right, let's just take a time out. Everyone just calm down. Let's look at this in a few minutes when we're calm. So, exercise good judgment. And good judgment is really hard when you're panicking and under pressure. So stay calm, relax, take a few breaths, look at the situation afresh, and often good ideas can present themselves. And there you are. I really hope that that did make sense and give you a few ideas. They are difficult times, but let's prepare ourselves, let's stay safe. And I hope that those 5 C's were a useful guide for you. Take care, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.